What's up, music nerds? So today I thought it would be a fun idea to go over some of the music theory, arrangement, and production elements of Biffy Clyro's Living is a Problem Because Everything Dies. Now, I actually found out about this band because Simon Neil, their vocalist, was featured in a couple of the recent releases from bands like Architects and While She Sleeps. And while I will say their newer music is not really my taste, I've looked into some of their older catalog, and there's a lot of really unique works. So before we fully get into it, if you guys are interested in this kind of content, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And of course, leave it a like and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Well, without further ado, let's get started. So this song begins with almost an atonal string section crescendo. Now when we hear this, I want you to take notice that there's really no central note at this point. Let's take a listen. Everything is kind of increasing in pitch, but it almost doesn't seem to be leading anywhere. After this happens, we come in with a very interesting guitar riff, and this will also be complemented by a little bit of the string sections. One thing I'd also like to take note of is that the guitars in this song are tuned to drop C, which was actually, and still is, a very common tuning in metalcore, so you can imagine there's a lot of cross-influence between the genres. The song is in the key of G, and this part is essentially just going to be droning over a G chord for the entirety of it. But what I want you to take note of is all the accents, and specifically what beats they fall on. As you'll notice, there's some consistency between them, but admittedly, it's not a lot. See, this part is actually very tricky to learn because all of the accents do fall on different beats. But what this symbolizes to me, I believe in the context of this song, is almost the uncertainty of events in life and ultimately death. And I feel like that's really what this whole song is trying to signify. As we get further into this section, there are longer runs of accents that kind of build the song up into its foundations. Let's take a listen. You'll notice that part comes in too, and I think this is a really interesting choice they added here because it adds a little bit of contrast over all the same note just over and over again. It kind of gets your ear listening a little bit more and keeps you interested. Toward the end, it becomes almost nearly just straight up, just strumming that accented note over and over again. And this section will lead right into the introduction of the choir and the main vocal. The choir is introduced with only a few notes, while the guitar is still droning on that G note. And it gives the song a sense that it's almost like floating in another plane of existence. Kind of the same feeling you get before a metalcore breakdown. Let's take a listen to it.
Come on, baby, do you think it's good to feel like I'm lying here, swimming in memories?
Now notice that Simon's vocal melody is actually a very simple melody. I would say it's heavily based in the pentatonic scale, but it also adds in this A note, which comes from the F chord, that just adds a nice sense of color to the melody. And as if out of the blue, all of the instruments kick in, and we bring ourselves right into the first verse. So for the entrance of the first verse, I'd like to bring attention to what the drums are doing. And basically, aside from a few crash hits here and there, it's actually fairly sparse. And I think that lets the other instruments shine through a little better. Let me play for you what's going on. So again, it's a fairly sparse pattern. It's just a bit of closed hi-hat. The only thing that's really ringing out the way you would expect it to is snare, because obviously you need to hear the beat like that. There's a couple eighth notes on the kick at the beginning of every second measure, and the fact that they didn't add more just shows that they're kind of trying to let the drums sit back a bit. You'll notice a bit of open hi-hat did come in toward the end, and that's going to bring us into the next section. So I want to also draw your attention to the melody aspects of this part. This is going to be starting out on something of a G power chord. Let's check it out. So these are the notes that he uses over this chord. G, A, C, and D. Now take note that none of these actually indicate whether or not this is a minor or major key. I fear God because everything dies, babe. Got a gun in the back of my car. This is where the minor sound kind of comes in. We have this E flat chord, which is the minor sixth of the key. And then in the melody, rather than just using this A, he actually goes to a B flat. Spasm of good sense is making my eyes twitch. Now notice how he lands on this note rather than this. Now when we move to this C minor chord, that's where the really darker sound comes in. The feel of the melody also changes up a little bit. So we have this. I've had enough of all your consolation. Just a simple little scale-based melody, but it really helps to bring out the emotion of the song. Now I want to talk a little bit about the riff during this section. So essentially what the guitar is doing is not only playing the chords, but at the same time it's also echoing some of the notes that are going to appear in the vocal melody. So if you listen closely, it really does complement what's going on in the vocal melody. And it helps to add a little more harmonic sound to the guitar riffs. Now this will bring us into a short guitar break. Now to me, this sounds like a very bluesy riff. It relies a lot on the flat 5 of the chord. So for this pre-chorus section, the drums actually become a little more upfront, and they'll be accenting a lot of little things that the guitars are doing. Let's check out what's going on. You'll notice there's a little bit of accenting the first time around, along with some ghost notes. And you'll also notice at the end of the riff each time, the drums play a neat little fill, like one time it's... and the other time it's... and it kind of helps to fill up the space, hence the term fill. So the guitars in the chorus are basically just playing the chords, but I will show you that the chords, that these aren't necessarily the chords you're expecting. So we essentially start with this F power chord, and that moves down to a sort of C inverted triad. Then that moves over to an A minor chord with the C an octave up like this. So basically we always have consistently this C in the top, but it's the bottom notes that change. So let's take a listen to that. So then we bring it into a little key change here. Let's take a listen to this riff. So you'll notice there's a neat little chord here as the A flat, and it's basically from the major third of the chord down to the 9th. Then that resolves to this simple chord progression, an E flat down to a C. Now when they play it live, you'll see he actually plays a full C minor chord, and that, I believe, is to make up for the lack of a string section, which you'll notice he does a lot when they perform this live, rather than playing over like a backing track or something, which is pretty respectable, you know, as a band. You want to make sure you can play your songs live. Now this brings us into the final riff of the chorus, and this is basically going to be something almost like the opening riff to Aerials by System of a Down. It's sort of a drone over this open G string, but the A string is going to be playing what the chords are doing. take a listen to that. And you'll also notice there's something of a counter melody going on in the background with the string section and the guitars. Kind of brings a little bit of interest to the melody aspect of things. And you'll also notice the second time this riff is actually shortened up by about 2 measures and just goes straight into the next one, which I think is a really interesting choice. Now let's talk about this chorus melody. Now we talked about the guitars. They're essentially doing something like this. Now he chooses to start off this melody on the note F. And you can see how nice that chord sounds. Then we resolve to the root of the chord. And then he brings it down to this very simply, like. So let's take a look at what that sounds like together. I pray to God that you're right before my eyes. So now we're getting to the key change section. We talked a bit about this in guitars, but let's really dive into what's going on with the melody right here. So it goes from something like this, very transitioning from a major to minor sound, and then we bring in this note. So I'd like to draw attention to the fact that F sharp is actually the minor 7th of the chord. So typically this chord would not even exist within the key, but now this chord is actually written in as a major, and it resolves to the flat 5 of the normal key. Now over this, he's just playing a simple melody using a few notes of the B flat minor scale. Now when they go to the C minor chord, it adds a really dark sound because after this we get another melody added in with really a lot of motion to it. There's a lot of chord changes in this section, but I'm going to play for you the basics. Don't want to waste no more time. For the chorus, the drums are actually going to emphasize the key change by having their own time change. So we're going to go from a full time to more of a half-time feel. Let's check it out. You'll also notice when it goes to halftime, that's actually very reminiscent of the sounds of early metalcore at that time. Actually reminds me a lot of the drum beat to Smashed Into Pieces by Silverstein. This next riff starts out with a very syncopated feel. It's basically the same thing as the first verse riff, but we'll start it out more like this. Let's take a listen to it. So coming into this next verse is going to be the last unique drum beat for this song. We started the verse with a more slightly syncopated feel, and I think the drums kind of represent this well. Let's check it out. So you'll notice it's almost as if the kick is actually echoing what the snare is doing if you take a quick look. Then that'll bring us right back into the same feel as we had for the first verse. One more thing I'd like to point out about this verse is there's actually a string section part that comes in over top of it, creating a nice little counter melody. Let's take a listen to it.
Time machine to escape from all the pain in the back of my car. Living's a problem cause everything dies, babe. Save yourself, I'm not too far away.
So you'll notice that the same notes kind of work over all the chords, but overall it really just adds a little bit of an extra interest to the sort of melodic aspect of the song, and overall helps it progress forward towards somewhat of a climax. After another chorus, we'll essentially get a repeat of what happened during the introduction. Sort of palm-muted guitars, but with lots of accents between octave chords and the string section, as well as drums. Then the chorus is reintroduced, starting off with a palm-muted guitar and an octave down vocal.
I pray to God that you're right before.
And you'll notice this really has a great effect on dynamics, because when the chorus comes back in, it has a great impact. You'll notice they also added a scream under the main vocal to kind of just emphasize the feeling of a climax of sorts. You'll also notice the string section and choir are actually a lot more emphasized in this last chorus to give it almost a dramatic feel. The song ends abruptly at the very end of the chorus, which almost symbolizes to me how sudden death can be. And that is really what this song is all about. This is a really powerful song, and this is why I think this band became so popular over in the UK. How they didn't become popular in the US is beyond me. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this style of video, be sure to give it a like and comment what other songs I should analyze. And as always, if you want to see more videos from me, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But anyways, that's all for now, and I will see you guys next time.